Well, viewers, India's hard-fought battle against fierce rivals Australia comes to a heartbreaking end as the Aussies managed to nab victory at the fifth and final test in Sydney. This marks Australia's sixth victory in Border-Gavaskar Trophy history and their first series win in a decade. The Aussies will go on to meet South Africa in the World Test Championship final. Australia took control on day one, getting India all out for 185. India, however, managed to come back with their bowling being spearheaded by captain Jasprit Bumrah and got the Aussies all out for 181. India took to the pitch to bat again and put up a score of 157. Australia had to chase down 162, which they did with wickets to spare. Now, head coach Gautam Gambhir did not mince words in his assessment of the series. He says that the players should know the responsibility, and if senior players are getting more opportunities, they should perform. He also said that it's time for harsh calls.
हमारे पास अपने मोमेंट्स थे इस सीरीज में कि जहां पर हम ये सीरीज जीत सकते थे. ऐसा नहीं है कि हमारे मोमेंट्स नहीं थे. जिस तरीके से हमने स्टार्ट किया इस सीरीज को, उसके बाद ऑब्वियसली पिंक बॉल टेस्ट मैच, फिर हमने ड्रॉ किया, तो कहीं ना कहीं अगर आप मेलबर्न का वो एक सेशन उठा के देख लीजिए, लास्ट सेशन, अगर हम यहाँ पर 1 ऑल आते तो शायद दबाव ऑस्ट्रेलिया पे और ज़्यादा हो सकता था. और इस मैच में भी मोमेंट्स थे. और ऐसा भी नहीं है कि मैं सिर्फ एक डिपार्टमेंट को ब्लेम करूंगा कि जी बैटिंग नहीं चली या बॉलिंग नहीं चली. हम बॉलिंग बेटर कर सकते थे या बैटिंग बेहतर कर सकते थे. आई थिंक ओवरऑल अगर आप देखें तो अगर हमारे को इम्प्रूव करना है और आगे जाके आई थिंक और बेहतर करना है तो हमारे को सारे डिपार्टमेंट्स में बेहतर करना पड़ेगा.
My colleague Karishma is joining us on the broadcast with the details. Karishma, the entire series has been ridden with a lot of controversies. What really happened? Gautam Gambhir is well saying it's time for some harsh calls to be taken.
Well, yes, absolutely, Pratibha. This is the time for harsh calls. This is the time for transition in the Indian team because the senior players, the senior cricketers have got many opportunities. Remember, we came into the Border-Gavaskar Trophy after losing our home series versus New Zealand, and one was hopeful that all that anger of losing the home series is going to be coming into the BGT. That did not happen. Australia have won the BGT 3-1. Remember, it's taken them 10 years to win the BGT, and not just that, they've also qualified for the World Test Championship final versus South Africa. India is out of contention for that as well. So obviously, when we talk about transition, that needs to happen now because it is very difficult to see Rohit Sharma or Virat Kohli or the senior cricketers fitting into the Indian Test setup. Yes, we played Test series now in June 2025, and that seems to be enough time, 6 months, to start that transition process. Remember, in this particular series, you had Sarfaraz Khan for the entire Test duration. He did not get even one Test match. Rohit Sharma decided to opt out of the Sydney Test. That did not have any impact. India lost this match after the Melbourne meltdown. Pratibha, Gautam Gambhir had made it very clear that this team needs to play to win. The team first ideology needs to be there, but we've seen how things have panned out. India losing, so obviously questions are going to be asked whether the head coach is going to take tough decisions. And in the post-match conference also, he's made it very clear that those who do not give performances will not find a place in the team, and whether it's senior cricketers or junior cricketers, everyone needs to play domestic cricket. Now, there are 2 matches of Ranji Trophy in which possibly Rohit and Virat should be playing, but whether they will play or not is something we'll have to wait and see because like I said, senior cricketers, they get more leeway than the junior cricketers. But now it'll be very interesting to see how Indian cricket moves forward because we've been talking about transition for the longest time, but that really hasn't happened in the literal sense.
Absolutely. Karishma, to speak about the entire series, there have been so many controversies. It started off with, of course, a bit of a face-off with the Australian media and whatnot, but it then trickled down into the team as well, including what happens in the locker rooms. And that conversation has been going on. Rohit Sharma as well as Virat Kohli as well, a lot of conversation about over-reliance and the fact that there should be this should be the time for real change in Team India. So, Karishma, take us through some of the controversies throughout the series that have dominated this entire Border-Gavaskar Trophy.
Well, yes, controversies have always been a part of the Border-Gavaskar trophies. India versus Australia is never complete without it. Let's start with the players sledging each other. Everyone's going to remember Mohammad Siraj versus Travis Head, what happened there. Then, of course, Virat Kohli versus Sam Constas, where Virat Kohli gave him a shoulder budge. Then we saw, Jasprit Bumrah in that over where Sam Constas was trying to, irk him. And then the next ball, Jasprit Bumrah comes in, takes a wicket, and then the entire team is trying to charge on to Sam Constas. So a lot happened on the field, continuous booing by the Australian crowds towards Siraj, towards Virat Kohli, and then the Indian players also charging back at the crowd. So a lot has happened. But if we talk about the Indian team specifically, Pratibha, things haven't been going well. When we talk about the dressing room, it hasn't been a happy dressing room. Players and coach don't seem to be on the same page. Even with selectors, there seems to be, not on the same page with their reports being that Gambhir wanted some of the older players back. Whether that happened or not is something that, we'll wait for clarity on. But obviously, the conversations that Gautam Gambhir has had with his players that were leaked, and what he said to Rohit Sharma or Virat Kohli or even Rishabh Pant for that matter is now out in the media. So obviously a lot has been going on as far as the BGT is concerned, and Gautam Gambhir reiterated in one of the post-match conferences that what happens in the dressing room is always going to be in the dressing room. But the fact that he can have a conversation with the players and the fact that there was some honesty in his words in the conversation that he had was obviously very, very important to note there, because what he's trying to say is that the players need to keep the team first. They need to think about the team first and only then take whatever decisions they want to take, whether it is how to play the game or, whether it is to stay in the squad or not stay in the squad.
Okay, all right. Karishma, thank you for joining us. So, Gautam Gambhir giving out a strong message. Remember, previously as well, when he had addressed the media, he spoke about always having a team-first policy. And he seemed to be giving out a message to the players. And now, yet again, he's speaking about big changes in Team India that's expected. We have former cricketer Atul Bon joining us on the broadcast. Thank you for joining us, Atul. So much to talk about in the trophy. A lot was also riding on the fifth test. What do you think really went wrong?
The last straw on the camel's back was when Jasprit Bumrah couldn't bowl, But even if he would have been there, this total was not something that I would have imagined in India managing. But miracles do happen, and he's a genius. He could have done it, but just the total capitulating of our batting in this last 5-6 innings. Only batting 1 or 2 innings in this whole series, we have stood up, and collective failure, and the team was burdened with too many big names out of form, and that any team cannot handle that. 1 or 2 players in alternate matches in a series, you can tolerate, a team can manage, but this kind of, collective collapse, very hard to come back. And you thought, this overconfidence, this complacency that we went last time, we won, and we'll do it again. The red flags went up when we lost from against New Zealand at home. So that was a big disaster. And after that, we just thought that we'll just go there, whatever is the plan. For Australia, we've had for 6-8 months, we went there. Couple of players which we developed. We could have actually just, and I said that, why not take Cheteshwar Pujara? And then in hindsight, everybody's mentioning him. So, a lot can be analyzed of this whole series per se, but this last test match, nobody stood up.
Okay, that's so unfortunate to mention. And Gautam Gambhir has spoken of big changes. Rajinder Amarnath is also with us. Thank you for joining us. Rajinder, Kohli and Rohit Sharma both have had 10 single-digit scores in the entire series, and that's extremely dismal. But is there also a lot of over-reliance on the top order? Of course, the top order, the middle order, both did not perform. So, where do you pin it? And the role of Virat Kohli as well as Rohit Sharma, unfortunately, is the elephant in the room.
To be honest, I always believe when you go into the battlefield, you can't go with rusted guns and broken triggers. You have to have players who are going to deliver. You have to have bowlers who can pick wickets. And combination of the both always brings success to the team. We had a good time in the first test match, but later on, the combination failed to click, and we see the result after the series. Yes, the big guns have not fired, and it's a cause of concern for everybody. Maybe it's the writing on the wall. We need to have some new players coming in, and also that series, they'll have to take a lot of lessons from this. We lost the series against New Zealand in India, which everybody said we took the tourist very lightly. But when we started the series in Australia, it was with a bang, but we just fizzled out as the series progressed. We had a couple of problems with the seniors' technique, as you can call it now, which was exposed on the bouncy and the moving wicket. And I'm quite surprised with the Indian management staff, which they carry, a big one they carry, especially the batting coach. Does he have the capability of finding those faults and rectifying them? No, I don't think so. So the board will have to look at that part also. If you have that support staff, it has to be good enough. Go to our player, help him out at the time of crisis, which has not been happening on this tour at all.
Okay, so, do we have too many heavyweights? Is that the consensus? Vedam Jaishankar is also with us. Thank you for joining us, Vedam. What do you think? There's a lot of conversation about the seniors and about whether there should be big changes in the team. But, Gautam Gambhir has also mentioned that in his previous press briefing as well. He said the only approach should be team first. That message seemed to be very clearly for some of the team players. Has the sanctity of the dressing room also been disturbed? That also hit the morale of the players?
Yeah, good morning. Yes, some of the things you said could have happened. But, we also need to take away some positives. We never expected Nitish Reddy to be the success that he was, both with the bat and the ball. He did pretty well. And as a field, that's a great plus point. And I think it was the discovery of the entire tour. Now, if you look at the seniors, yes, they have not really pulled their weight. Had they pulled their weight and Jaiswal, Nitish Reddy and a couple of others had done what they did, then we would have been on a better situation today. But unfortunately, the seniors were not up to it. Yes, maybe the previous series against New Zealand was a great warning, and we didn't pay too much heed to it. But I think the Australians came out with a plan. We always knew the Australian bowling attack was going to be very difficult because they are one of the best attacks in the world. But what I think caught us off guard was the depth they had in their attack. Even when Hazelwood was injured, somebody like Boland came, and it looked like he was ideally built for these kind of pitches. And when Webster came in, he kept the pressure on. So I think that took us a setback for us, really, I would say. But the Australian depth in bowling was not matched by our depth in bowling. We had one bazooka in Bumrah, but the rest of them were maybe running around with pistols, and that was not good enough. Had we had three good medium pacers or fast bowlers, then maybe we would have had a different tale to tell. So it was not just the batting. Yes, the batting did pretty poorly, but I think the bowling also was not really what it should have been. Like I said, Bumrah was the one lone bright spot in the bowling attack. Siraj tried to help, but I think it was way beyond his capability, especially when he had to carry the attack, he was not good enough, really. He struggled today. So overall, when you look at it, whether it was our batting and our bowling didn't have the depth, and at crucial time, we dropped a lot of catches. Maybe today, this test must have been an exception, but otherwise, at crucial stages, we fielded pretty poorly. And, those are those crucial moments, those small moments, those magic moments, when whoever wins those moments wins the match. And I think we were not up to the mark at those stages.
Okay.
All in all, I think
you
it was
chose
very
to see a lot of the silver lining in the entire series. Bumrah, yes, he alone took 32 wickets, and the rest of the team put together took about 48. So these stats speak for themselves. And I request you to stay with us. I just want to play out the Australian side as well. When Pat Cummins was asked about what went wrong and what went right for Australia, here's what he said.
As a team, how much does this win mean to you? And as a captain, do you feel you have completed cricket now?
Unfortunately, I've got to keep playing. No, it's huge win. In the context of this series, it's as big a series as you're going to play at home. It felt like it was kind of seesawing throughout the whole series. So to finish it.
So, Atul, Vedam Jayashankar also spoke about how there were a lot of things that we can be happy about. There were a few things that we should be proud of Team India as well. But when you speak about Bumrah, 152 overs, we spoke about the number of wickets that he has taken as well. Is there over-reliance on Bumrah? Yes, he was a bright spark. But does that mean that the entire team really had the entire weight on him?
Is water wet or is coal black? Of course, you can see that, Australia got to this total in 27 overs. Can you imagine? Both the fast bowlers, Siraj and Krishna, went for more than 6 runs per over. They bowled 12 overs, 69 runs each. So you can easily see these numbers and you can check, without them, it was insipid. It was so ordinary, it was embarrassing because, just one guy. And I'm so amazed that this guy lasted for the whole 5 test matches and he had to break down. Something had to give. He can't just be bowling and with this just coming back from injury and the kind of workload he's had, the kind of work he did in the World Cup. It was unfair or just to expect things from this. But imagine, even Australia, their top guns were struggling. Steve Smith was not getting runs. Marnus Labuschagne was not getting runs. Usman Khwaja. But their other guys, Travis Head came back strongly. They chose a new guy, Bo Webster. He got a 52 and the way he batted in second inning, picked up crucial wickets. And Scott Boland, Boland has got, his average is 18. It's unbelievable. And he's a spare wheel in the dicky. Because Hazelwood got injured and then he played, So imagine the depth in Australia. And we carried 6 or 7 fast bowlers. So don't say that we don't have bowlers. The problem now lies ahead is, and Gautam is saying that strong things, but it's too little too late. बहुत हो गया, बहुत तो पहले हो गया था. तो अब आप यहाँ से क्या? You have to build a new team. You have to develop test players. You have to develop test player batting the way Cheteshwar Pujara bats. You develop the player Sarfraz, but he's not given chance. So I think some things have to be drastic. But those players which you want to develop for Test cricket have to be compensated because we have the players who can bat dirty, bat ugly for the full session. Not glamorous, but they get the work done. But those players have to be compensated because these players have to make a living. So once they are identified and they're not getting big money in IPL, they're bound to change the game and play because they want to survive and play all the formats. So there's a big macro, prognosis has to be done.
Okay, all right. So is the team missing Mohammad Shami and, a lot of reliance on some of these players? We mentioned how there was a spark of brilliance that we saw from Rishabh Pant as well as the Nitish Reddy, but we didn't see so much from the others. It's no secret that Gautam Gambhir also advocated for the inclusion of veteran and proven test players like Cheteshwar Pujara, but his attempt was also rejected by the BCCI. With an average of almost 45, he could have helped the batting lineup find its form. Listen into what Gautam Gambhir had said when he was asked about it.
Look, first of all, obviously, I don't want to say that because Jasprit Bumrah wasn't there that we couldn't get the results. Obviously, we had our moments, and it would have been nice if he would have been there, but we still had 5 bowlers, and a good team is one which is not dependent on one individual. Yes, we didn't get the result, as simple as it can get. We lost the series here, as simple.
All right, is it going to be that moment which is going to bring in and usher in a lot of changes in Team India? It definitely seems low. There's a need for it. Is that going to happen or not is going to be interesting to see. A lot more to talk about, but unfortunately we've run out of time. Thanking our guests for joining us with their expertise.